All right, welcome everyone. We are so thankful you all have made the time to join us today. We are so excited to have this webinar hosted about why National Review Day is here and how to make the most out of it for both yourself, your consumers, and your business. And I'm so thrilled to be joined here with two of my esteemed colleagues. I have Rachel and Liz. I'm gonna let you both go ahead and introduce yourself if that's all right. So Liz, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you.
Sure. Hi, Cassie, and hi, Rachel. I'm Liz Carter. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Reputation. And, we are excited to really shine a spotlight on the power of reviews. And I'm really excited to be joined by Rachel from G2, and I'll let Rachel, you introduce yourself as well.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice to be here with you all. We all are so excited to talk about National Review Day. My name is Rachel Bentley. I'm a Senior Director of Product Management at G2. I focus on the user journey to connect buyers to user-generated content to make better software decisions and just make better purchase decisions overall. Reviews are so important, not just for marketing teams, but also for they're the lifeblood of understanding how users are interacting and enjoying your products, or understanding where there is opportunity for improvement and how you can improve your lives through investment. So I'm just so excited to be here today to talk about this.
I am just so thrilled that we're all here together, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation that we're all going to share today. And for our viewers, just to give you a quick glimpse of what you can expect from this deep dive, first and foremost, we're going to discuss what is National Reliever Review Day. If you haven't heard of it yet, don't worry, you're going to learn all about it today. But we're going to talk about why it was critical and why reviews really impact all of our consumers and as well as our business owners today. And then looking ahead for June 8th, we want to make sure that you can really make the most out of it and equip you with all the strategies to get the most efficient benefits from that day. And then with that, we're going to walk you through a toolkit that we've prepared for your team to use to really celebrate the holiday at its fullest. And then beyond just National Reliever Review Day, we want to talk about how you can continue creating that culture of feedback within your organization. So to kick us off, National Reliever Review Day is now an official holiday recognized by the National Day Archives. June 8th is the day that we're going to celebrate the importance of our economy of feedback, right? Where reviews are not only critical to our buyers, as when buyers are looking to make that purchasing decision, they're looking at reviews, they're looking at star ratings. That experience that they have looking at companies' reviews online is really directing where they're going to focus, which in turn impacts our businesses, impacts how they're being seen online, and it impacts what sort of traffic is going to continue coming their way. So we're so excited to have this day to recognize that everyone's voice truly does matter. And we want to take this day to encourage all those consumers to leave a review on any of their recent purchases, whether that's a service or a product. Now, that's my personal opinion on National Reliever Review Day. So I want to turn it over to our wonderful guests. And so Liz, Rachel, what are your opinions on why National Reliever Review Day is important?
Well, I'll jump in, and Rachel described a little bit in the upfront, and so did you, Cassie, I think. From the reputation perspective, we call it the feedback economy. National Reliever Review Day is really an opportunity to shine a light on what the feedback economy is. And we at Reputation really believe that, you need to understand the voice of your customer in order to run your business. And reviews play a huge role in that. And, Rachel mentioned, I think, early on in her introduction about the importance of reviews. Reviews can be the lifeblood of a marketing organization, right? You're trying to get in front of more customers every day. Reviews actually allow you to do that, right? Whether the recency of those reviews or the way in which those reviews generate star ratings, all of those things impact where you show up on search and how consumers or patients may find someone to, a store that they're looking for, a product that they're looking for, a doctor that they're looking for. All of those reviews actually allow consumers, patients to understand what their options are, and then also get feedback from the consumer. And we're learning every day that consumers and patients and buyers are actually really depending on those reviews to make their purchasing decisions. And so I think that in and of itself is huge if you're a business, understanding the impact of that, and wanting to get those reviews so that you can perform better in that way and just acquiring new customers. But at the same time, I think we also want to shine a light for consumers, for patients to understand the value of that review, to the business, and then the reality that their review can actually impact a company's ability to provide the customer experience that they're looking for. So I just think, on these two different levels, we're really thrilled at Reputation to shine a light on, the importance of a day, the importance of leaving those reviews and maybe taking that time to actually think about, what sort of buyer's journey you just went on and what you want to provide back to that business or company or corporation about the experience that you had.
That point too, about how you find information and how you discover and learn with reviews and how you really can, as a consumer, learn about what's best for you. G2 actually started with reviews because there was more information online about a $100 hotel room versus a $100,000 software purchase decision, which I would say the stakes can be a little bit higher with a $100,000 software decision and those types of budgets. But really making it easier for people to make those purchase decisions in the software space as they have become accustomed to in B2C, that there's so much data, there's so much feedback that you can make the best choice for yourself. Reviews about people's experience, and really, I would call this a review community. When Reputation came to G2 to ask if we wanted to talk about this today, I was so excited. I now feel like I should have decorated my house or something, and there should be lights behind me to celebrate National Review Day. But it's just it's such a great community because these people can help you and help you find what's best for you. And I feel like feedback should be a part of every day, which is why Leave a Review Day is such a cornerstone of awareness.
I think that's a great point, Rachel, because even I would say that, being a part of Reputation has been sort of a change for me in the reality of the importance of reviews, right? Like I now have become so much more aware of the value of reviews to the customers that we work with. But I also recognize the sort of responsibility that I have as a consumer, as a buyer, as a CMO who's purchasing software to also, manage our business, and the ways in which those reviews can really impact a business, I think is really important. And I want to be sure to remind myself, that is something that I can add value or support a business in a way, or give them constructive feedback, in order to maybe make a change in their business that could benefit them as well.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And I know you guys have already mentioned a couple of this, the economic impacts and the importance of reviews for buying decisions. We've touched on it briefly, but I really want to take a few moments to continue diving into that aspect, because we know how critical this influences all buyers, right? So I would love to know your guys' opinion, but what really is the economic impact of reviews in today's market? Rachel, do you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Yeah, so every year G2 conducts a buyer survey because users' behaviors and users' expectations during purchasing really changes and evolves year over year. We've found in the last year that users have stopped depending on vendors and stopped depending on sales teams, or depended on them less, and consulted review sites as part of their purchase decisions. If you think about when something comes to your door, you purchase something and something comes to your door, you want it to fit or you want it to work because you bought it and you had expectations from it. What reviews help you do is make sure that those expectations from the product match and that it's truly going to work for you, because you were able to depend on, without word of mouth, that's your word of mouth. So what it helps buyers do is have more confident purchase decisions, as well as making sure that you're finding the right match as a seller or a company, that you're not having that return, you're not having that churn, and you're really seeing your sales and conversion boost. And I always like to call conversion confidence, because I've consulted reviews. I feel more confident about my purchase. And I feel like one thing, we talk about sales and conversion a lot. For me, for reviews from like an economic impact, is there are so many different inputs that go into a roadmap. And reviews are a just like perfect place to grab information of, am I doing the right thing by my product? Am I doing the right thing by my user? And how can I invest in reviews to invest in my user who loves me and loves my product enough, or really wanted it to work, to leave me feedback, and really
I love
taking
that.
feedback and actioning it, because I care about them. I love, like, obviously I'm here because I love reviews. We're all here because we love reviews and we use them, but it's really demonstrative of how you care for your users.
I love that. Reviews are a gold mine for, how should you evolve your products? How are your customers using them and finding success? Or what are their sort of areas for improvement? It is really a good point. I think also we were just at a customer conference a week ago, and one of our speakers who was there from the healthcare industry mentioned how in her industry, patients have moved from making decisions based on word of mouth to making decisions based on reviews. They are more likely to make a decision based on the reviews online than they are by word of mouth, which I think is, what an amazing stat, or sort of, I just find that so interesting, right? And I can see it in as a patient, right? And doing my own research and trying to find a doctor, and I do rely on reviews. And I think in our healthcare report that Reputation put out just a few months ago, we talked about how, patients are reading, up to 4 or 5 reviews before making a decision on a healthcare provider. And so it to your point, Rachel, earlier, that behavior is evolving, right? Consumer behavior, patient behavior, business to business buying behavior. There is so much more opportunity to do research, to find what you're looking for online from review sites, or from Google star ratings, or from Apple Maps, if you're actually looking for something nearby, right? But also want to make a decision about it. So it's more and more consumers are using a much or they're driving their own sort of journey, right? From a customer standpoint, they don't have to follow a normal journey where they show up in your store, or they know what your website is and Google that. They're Googling things, and they're finding you online in places you didn't even know you existed, right, as a business. And so it's just so important for businesses to really own that their reviews, right? Really understand, how are they getting them? Are they asking for them? And in doing so, they give the customers an opportunity to really support sort of their business in a way that gives them feedback that they can react to, but also helps other customers find them in a easier fashion as well.
Totally.
I love that too, especially with healthcare to software, because your needs are so niche that you have a very specific health concern, or a very specific issue that you want to address. Just like your next door neighbor might not know who to go to. Like, if I were to ask Jim next door, like, hey, who do you use for SEO? Like, it's you need to be able to find someone like you that has similar needs. And that's why the breadth and depth of your review collection it just benefits you so much to focus there, because then you can make those connections based on someone's needs and experiences, that they can find someone like them and feel more confident.
Totally. And, I also just am thinking back on a story from one of our customer conferences recently. And, when you think about the economic impact, obviously a business can be impacted because they can be found more easily. That sort of, found to conversion sort of that we talked about earlier, Rachel, is one way, but also that sort of gold mine of data in those reviews. I'm reminded of a story. One of our customers in the UK, we work with a lot of hospitality, food and beverage chains. And one of them, was getting reviews that were not great. And the reviews were that they didn't like the tomatoes on a particular sandwich that was being served at their restaurants. And this business made a decision to, based on the reviews, remove the tomato from the sandwich, which also meant less inventory of tomatoes across a large pool of their chains. And I think they were able to save upwards of $1 million over the year on the cost of that tomato, and their reviews went up, and customers were happier, and it was like a win-win. So I mean, that's what I mean. I think that's what we mean when we talk about the economic impact of reviews and the value that they can play.
Totally. And Liz, you mentioned one aspect I really want to hit home and really hone in on, where, like you said, it is the business's responsibilities to own their reviews and start requesting reviews. And so often we hear that people are scared to do that, right? Sometimes people get worried about, if I get more reviews, am I going to get more negative reviews along with positive reviews? And I know there's a story that we've talked about quite often, Liz, I was hoping you could dive into with Intermountain Health.
Yes, absolutely. Well, this is a great example. I know there's a lot of words on this slide, but Intermountain Health is a healthcare provider in several states in the West Coast, and they were having an issue showing up on search engine, right? And their review ratings, which are their star ratings, were lower than they wanted them to be. At the same time, a lot of healthcare providers really battle with whether they should request reviews or not. There's a whole element of, legal and all the things that healthcare businesses have to really answer to when it comes to, making changes or choosing to do something in their business. But what they learned was, by actually review requesting, also the fear is that they're going to get a lot more negative reviews, right? So that's a big fear. And what I think has played out over and over again, and is evident in this case study, is that that's not what happened, right? Like the silent majority of consumers, of patients, are generally positive. And so by requesting reviews, you can see some of the stats here. They increased their review volume by 156%. They obviously went up from 3.7 stars to 4.5. So a huge increase in their star rating that actually allowed them to show up so much better in SEO. And I think this is a graph that you just moved to that really demonstrates that. If you see the sort of short bars on the left-hand side, this is before review requesting, right? And the negatives are the ones in red. And you kind of look as they start to review request, those negatives don't change. The numbers of those coming in don't change, but the positives really overwhelm you, and which is amazing. And the negatives aren't bad, right? Like it's not bad to get negative reviews. That's where you can make change, right? Like that's where you find out about the tomatoes in your business, and you figure out, how to help augment, things so that you can provide a better customer experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Rachel, I know you guys have a similar story on your end as well, too, that I know our audience would just love to hear more about.
Yeah. So similar to the being a little bit of, I think there's hesitation. There's hesitation from what type of feedback that you're going to get, as well as hesitation from a commitment, a time commitment, in order to collect those reviews. So my story is that B2B has a little bit of a lag to B2C. So we take a little bit longer to get to what B2C is doing, and we learn from B2C a lot. But users' expectations are actually set in B2C. And the expectation of being able to have real experiences to relate to is really important. And the more real experiences that you can have relate to, the better results that you can achieve. So Sales Off started its partnership with G2, and at first they didn't have a great strategy for collecting reviews. They weren't necessarily making the most of their review collection. And then they had a new person join. Her name is Alexandria Snow. And she partnered with us. She partnered with G2 to leverage all the collection methodologies we have. And what this helped them do was collect more. So not just using one type of review collection method, but really diversifying and helping get coverage and reach more users in their pipeline, and grow their pipeline and reach more users overall with their market presence. So what SalesLoft did by diversifying their collection strategy, they were able to not only achieve 780,000 revenue, 1.8 in pipeline, but they were actually able to grow that market presence and show themselves as, hey, we not only collect reviews, but we frequently collect reviews. So not only do you have experiences overall to relate to, but we're going to continue to collect reviews. So we have recent reviews, because as we all know, software can change every 2 weeks with regular release cycles. That's really important to have that diversified collection strategy so that you're always collecting more. Because again, users' expectations, they want the most recent review. They want to make sure that they have a reflection of what's actually happening with this product. Even in a physical good, if the last review was 2 years ago, it's a little suspect. Like, I want to make sure that this is a real experience that was really happening, or is this product old now? I don't know. So we know that collecting reviews can be difficult and an overwhelming concept, but time and time again, this example, the tomato example, the benefit of increasing reviews, and you see this in the Sales Off story as well, is you not only see revenue, but you can drive so much more value for your product. And that's like, I keep going back to the tomato. Reviews save them so much money. It's not only just driving pipeline, driving revenue. It's how do you make your product better for the satisfaction that then ends up with more confident conversion. You've invested in your product, not just how you look or the specific star rating, because you're investing in your users and how they have experienced your product.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, ladies, thank you both so much for sharing with your thought leadership and these stories. I think both of these together just truly, I mean, I think it's fair to say, like, clearly reviews are a big impact on anybody's business. So looking ahead to National Review Day, I want to pick your brain a little bit. And what are your recommendations for businesses on how they can make the most out of June 8th?
I think it's a great question. I think that, at Reputation, we've encouraged our customers, who we know, understand the importance of reviews, right? They've made a decision to work with Reputation. They want to manage their business and through feedback, and so we've encouraged them to definitely, leverage it in ways of promotion, right? We work with a lot of customers that have, local businesses, right? They have multiple locations, and various ways in which they incentivize those locations to participate in, making sure their reputation score, which is what we call it, or their Google star ratings are at a certain level. And so those businesses are going to spend some time, I think, over the next month promoting National Lever Review Day, and really kind of generating some buzz within their stores and their locations on, again, shining a light on this opportunity to really help consumers that come and choose those businesses to do business with to actually leave a review, and that feedback is really important. So I think that's one way that businesses can leverage this. And I think consumers, for me, one of the things I just hope to be able to do is really shine a light on the reality that those reviews are so meaningful, right? To any type of business. I think it's easy to think of, your local store where you want them. I think about some of the local businesses that have popped up over, in COVID, right before COVID, right after COVID, that, there's a lot of energy that we need to create in our own, local towns and communities in order for those businesses to thrive. And reviews are one way to do that, and I think that I would like to make sure people understand. But I think even more than that, businesses where they don't think to leave a review makes a difference. And if they get a text message or they get an email from a company that they just did business with asking for a review, I'm hoping more and more consumers take note of it and think, you know what, I will do that today. I'm gonna do that. So that's one of the things I'm hoping for.
I love that. Rachel, what are you thinking?
Yeah, especially for this audience, obviously all three of us write a lot of reviews, but becoming even more aware of how you leave those reviews and being very specific, because the specificity that you give as a reviewer is how people learn. So I frequently bring up a refrigerator example. If you've never bought a fridge, it's kind of weird. There's a few things like that. You're not really sure where to start. And if you're going through reviews and we have pros and cons or popular mentions, and it says quiet or it says noisy, as a user, you're like, wait a minute. I didn't know I wanted a quiet fridge, but I don't want a loud one. It's really truly like an educational tool and discovery. So the more specificity you have as a user, the better you can educate your community. Because again, when you are leaving a review, you're helping someone else. You're part of a community to help them make a better choice. And when you think about it that way, or you think about it in the way hey, I want to help make this product better. I love these things about it. This is where I could see improvements. That's so helpful, not only to the business, but also to another end user to learn, hey, is this going to work for me?
So true. I mean, I think we live that all the time. And I've mentioned our customer conference recently. We're about to have another one in London just this week. And you want to build these user communities that want to get connected and want to learn from each other. And reviews, you maybe not everybody can take the opportunity to jump on a plane and go to a location and spend a few days, but leaving a review really does not take that much time, right? But it can have a huge impact on a business. And so I love that, being specific and really helping those businesses make a difference and compete in today's, ever evolving environment, I think is really important.
Totally. Rachel, do you have any other ideas about how businesses, I know we've talked a lot about consumers giving this, oh my word, guys, live webinars, right? But giving specific reviews. What about the specific things that businesses can do to help spread their word?
So I think for me, diversifying your review collection sources is my number one recommendation from a business point of view today. So where are your users? How are they motivated? Just like people learn in different ways, the reason that they act to give a review is going to be different. So if you're just relying on one source to collect reviews, you probably aren't getting the benefit of all the different ways that you can get feedback. So at G2, we have 5 different teams that collect reviews. We partner with our sellers, our customers, to help them collect more and diversify their collection strategies so that they're able to meet users where they are and understand those meaningful moments. Because you as a business know what those meaningful moments are. Is that after they close a support case? Is it after they take a certain action in your dashboard? You know what those moments are. So what is the time to capture that? And what are the different avenues that you can collect? What's available to you and what maybe are you not taking advantage of right now? Asking everyone is so important to make sure that you're getting a representative view. It's not necessarily about a certain star rating. It's again about representing how your product works for different type of people so that you are building confidence with your users and trust. We had one, it's Truck Stop. Truck Stop is a customer of G2, and they recently adopted, it's called in-app collection. So I say one of the a friction point sometimes can be is if you're on a site and it's like, hey, leave a review, and then it brings you to another site, you're like, whoa, I have whiplash. I'm not going to sign in somewhere else. But what in-app does, it lets you leave your review in-app. You don't have to leave. This is where you're comfortable. This is where you're familiar. So what Truck Stop did when they adopted this was they were able to increase reviews overall 92%. They went from being number 13 in their categories to number 1 in both categories on G2 ranking. And it truly is representative of they were meeting their users where they were. They understood what that meaningful moment was, and they just weren't relying on outbound email collection in order to capture those reviews. And to the point of being afraid of reviews as well, 75% of those reviews were positive, which is the same percent that they had before. So again, it wasn't necessarily like, no, I only want to ask these types of people. They asked everyone, they still had the same ratio. But they had so much more, and now their market presence and their rank on G2 is number 1.
That's awesome. That's really great. And we very similarly sort of call these things micro experiences at Reputation. And the reality is that, I think I mentioned earlier, customers today, they're sort of finding their own journey, right? They're finding their own path. They're searching for information, for review data online before making a purchasing decision. And each of those micro experiences, you kind of have to understand, right? And I think to your point of knowing when to ask for a review, when to send a survey out, right? And all of those types of feedback are really important to pull in together and then to really understand. And I think one of the other points is if you're gonna ask for feedback, you've got to respond to it. You got to do something with it, right? You got to make sure your customers know, that you're listening and you're taking action. And I think that's, the kind of the last mile that you have to ensure that you go through as a business as well. Cassie, I might have skipped ahead a little bit, but I thought
you're
that was
doing great. One thing I wanted to share with the group, though, is just different ways that other businesses can help encourage National Leaver Review Day. So I know we've had a couple amazing clients like Storage Asset Management. I don't know if you want to share some of the thoughts that they were having just to help motivate all of their different locations to get all those reviews on June 8th.
Yeah, no, Storage Asset Management, we worked with them, and they are actually going to incentivize their locations, I think, for the month of May, for those that get the most reviews, they're going to highlight them on National Leaver Review Day. Is that right, Cassie?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, yeah. So they're kind of running a competition across their multiple locations to see who can get the most reviews over this period of time. And then on that day, they're going to showcase several of those locations that really performed well throughout the month, which I think is great. I think we have some other customers that they incentivize their businesses on a more regular basis, around review ratings or what we call reputation score, which is a sort of way in which Reputation helps businesses understand, how they stack up across their multiple locations through with all the types of feedback, not just reviews, but also, social comments and surveys and all those sorts of things as well.
Absolutely. I think Storage Asset Management also offered to pay the winning location to cover lunch for their whole team on that day too.
Oh, there you go.
Always something fun, right? Just add a little extra element. So totally, just all the fun ways just to encourage everybody. And of course, I am very, very excited for June 8th. I just think this National Day is going to really kickstart what hopefully will become an entire culture of feedback moving forward. And Rachel, I did hear this is possibly one of your favorite topics to talk about, is creating that ongoing culture of feedback. So why don't you share those amazing thoughts with everyone here on the webinar today?
Yeah. So I think all feedback is good feedback. That's always my position. I think it's like people will talk about their zodiac sign. I think for product managers love 1-star reviews. They're like, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me right now what I'm doing wrong, and I'm going to validate and I'm going to make sure that I address it. I love positive and negative feedback. It really creates the culture of feedback, but also the culture of conversations. Am I doing the right thing by my buyer? Am I supporting my buyer through my product? So Liz had mentioned replying to reviews. So I replied to all G2 reviews that have any constructive comments, because sometimes it's education, honestly, but sometimes it's also, hey, you have a really good point. And what we do is take all of that data and put that into our roadmap and really consume it as challenging ourselves, but more so to the culture of feedback and replying to reviews. What that does is it shows, one, that you stand by your product, and that also it shows everyone else that's even consulting to see, hey, do I want to use this company or do I want to use this product? It shows that you care and that you stand by both your customer and your product. So my story is that the culture of feedback comes from really making sure that you're having the right conversations and taking a look and embracing what people are saying and having that be part of your virtues and your values as a company. We're all leaders here, and making sure that that is something that you talk about, and that you either, not that you have to be the one to reply to every single review, but are these reviews being addressed? Is, whether it's reviews or whether it's NPS, how are we taking a look at how our customers are telling us how we're doing and making that part of our day to day?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is so important. And, I obviously feel extremely strongly that if you're going to ask for feedback, you have to respond to it. I also think that, when you think about culture, it also starts with sort of your employees, right? It starts with everybody within the company sort of embracing that same culture, and being willing to have that conversation both internally within your business, but also as you're getting feedback from your customers, making sure you're making that information well known, right, to the parts of the business that can impact, and again responding to that feedback, then letting your customer base knowing what you heard and how you're internalizing that and changing, right? And I think that you kind of have to do that you have to do that on a regular basis. That is a continuous, constant sort of thing. And so in order to build culture, it's not a one and done type of activity. It has to be sort of part of the rhythm of your business, in order to really for everybody to feel it and for it to make a difference, I think.
Absolutely. Now we just kind of scratched the surface here on this topic, but for good news, everyone here on the webinar, we are going to do a part 2. Of course, we want to get everyone ready for June 8th here right now. But for everyone who's here on the webinar, everyone who registered, we will be sending you an invite for later on in June to talk about other ways and other strategies to continue that culture of feedback, just to continue that momentum moving forward. But in the meantime, Liz, do you want to go ahead and walk them through all the different toolkits and options we have for June 8th?
Yeah, so we've put together a page or a website where you can go and access kind of a couple different types of things. So we have sort of a kit for businesses that want to really put the word out there about National Leave a Review Day. They want to get more information on some of the ideas that we talked about that you can do to incentivize, businesses or consumers to participate, or your multiple locations to participate. It's got, some of the imagery that you've seen here, easy downloadable kit that you can use to really sort of make a big deal about National Leave a Review Day for your business. And then we also have a promo kit for consumers. So if you want to understand a little bit more about what we talked about, the importance of those reviews that you leave, how to leave specific reviews that generate, that will help a business in moving forward. We have some templates and some ideas for you as well. And I think that for any person listening today, you can really take advantage of this. We actually did an effort within our company to reach out to the various chambers of commerce in cities where our employees are located. We reached out to say, like, this is something that can benefit your local businesses, right? Something to promote. I think it's really interesting. It's easy, right? It can be a social effort. And I think this is an opportunity for us to shine a light on, the importance of reviews for all types of, buying situations. So we've hopefully made it easy for anyone listening that wants to grab some of the imagery or some of the logos or some of the ideas that we've talked about today.
Yes, and the best way to do that for everyone listening is go to www.nationalleverreviewday.com. And again, all the amazing tools at your fingertips are all going to be there, right, to help you and make the most out of this day. So I definitely want to say a huge thank you to both Liz and Rachel. Thank you both so much. Your thought leadership in this area is just incredible, and it's so exciting to get to listen to. And thank you to all of you for making the time to join us today, and get excited for part 2 in about a month of how to continue that culture of feedback. So thank you, everybody. Hopefully
Yeah, thank you, Cassie. We appreciate it. And I think I'm off to leave a review. So, yeah.
Perfect.
If you're in Chicago on June 8th, I'll be wearing a sandwich board that says National Lever Review Day and ringing a bell.
Yeah.
I love that.